Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at IIBA, and welcome. We are talking with the authors today of the new book, new IIBA publication book, Futureproof. Let's see, I think I am sharing the correct monitor, right? Okay. Um, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Before I introduce Tim and Angela, I thought my desktop was a little more ready. One second. Here we go. Okay. Um, so you guys are doing a great job of using chat. Keep doing that. We'll reference chat and it gives you guys an opportunity to talk with each other. We will leave some time at the end for questions. You can put those questions in the Q&A box. And as always, use the reactions. Our speakers can see the reactions, and it's always fun because they can respond back to them. I've got one other housekeeping note for you guys. We kindly ask that the attendees not use their AI assisted technologies without any prearranged permission. So we appreciate you not doing that. You will be getting a link to this recording in about 24 hours, and then it'll be available afterwards. I think it's going to be maybe on YouTube, but it'll also be in our webinar archive. So thanks so much. Okay, well, let me do some quick introductions here. You may know Angela. Angela is the CEO of BA Cube. She's an author, a speaker, and trainer, also does some LinkedIn learning. So you might have seen her there as well. She's also been connected to IIBA for some time, and she's been a core part of the Babok Guide version 3, and also has seen the business analysis competency model through its various editions. So thank you, Angela. And then also we've got Tim Coventry today, also CEO, business analysis, BAPL, which is in Australia, which is why Tim's wearing long sleeves today. He's got 30 years of experience at one of the largest consultancies specializing in business analysis in the Southern Hemisphere. So, in addition to being a CEO, he is obviously also an author and a speaker. So, welcome, Tim. Thanks for joining us. And the reason we are here today is to talk about future proof. It's also to probably address some of the questions that you have about the future of business analysis and AI. And that is the topic of Futureproof. It's what they are doing in this book, and they're going to share with you some of what they've learned also because they are so committed to the message of this book. They have created t-shirts for themselves, and so they're wearing them proudly today. So we'll drop some links so that you can purchase Futureproof if you so choose. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We've got such a global audience today, which is so cool. So thanks everybody for being here and sharing where you're from. Thanks for the comment already in there. It says, love the book, smiley face. I know a few people on the call have already purchased the book, so it's kind of fun to see you all here. What is Futureproof all about? It's all about how does business analysis change in a world impacted by AI. So it's far more than productivity. In fact, we don't teach you prompting or ChatGPT or anything like that in the book. Far more important of a book is about how is our role impacted and what does it mean to us? And so we can see it all over the globe. Things are changing so fast, right? The lifespan of companies is becoming smaller and smaller as technology and complexity increases. And with AI exponentially hitting us at a pace unlike we've ever seen before, this technology changing the world and changing every organization and process that we encounter, personal lives, professional lives, everything, right? So the urgency for BAs to step up and into an AI-driven role has never been as important as it is today. And I know a lot of you are seeing this in your organizations. So with complexity and unknown unknowns, Adapting is critical. And what Tim and I are calling for in this book is that business analysis becomes even more critical. But it's up to us to step into this role. Is it the same role as before? Yes. And we're going to talk about some differences that we're all going to have to step up into. So it's more than productivity. It's about software development, teaming, and collaboration changes that are happening. It's about business models changing. It's about totally switching our mindsets and our work from a documentation focus, perhaps you might be in, to decision velocity, facilitating decision making and problem solving at a pace unprecedented than you've ever seen before, and what skills are required for us to do that. So we're going to talk about 5 themes today, and they are on your screen. We're going to do some polls with that and get you involved in the conversation and really, really dig into what it means to be future-proof as a business analyst. It has to do with understanding the history of business analysis and how we got to where we are today and where our field is going. How is AI impacting our roles and the urgency for us to step in to some new skills and new roles? And we're going to cover our analysis accelerator framework, which we outline in the book. We'll give you a little preview of that and how that works. So that's a little overview of the book, Urgency, and the themes that we're going to cover today. Tim, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Angela. So, picking up on some of those key themes that Angela talked about is that we are going to see huge changes within our marketplace and over the next few decades. There's got to be greater focus on really measuring and understanding. And as BA professionals, we need to change and really focus in some of those key metrics, making sure that we can drive stakeholders to really understanding what are the key metrics that we must be changing and adapting within organizations. Andrew and I have come up with a AI accelerator framework, and this really focuses in on these key metrics, and those key metrics are around user behavior changes. So this is about changes in user behavior that sit within organizations. Most organizations are really focused around purchasing of products and services, repurchasing products and services, and then referring those products and services. So this all sits with how users are behaving. And to gain key results for any organization, it's these user behavior changes that are really important. We see that user behavior changes sit within what we call assets. And these assets are the key components of any business architecture, and they remain as the ways in which we can move from a current state through to a future state is by adapting some of these assets that sit within the business. Now, we're not going to go into all of the framework today, but we'll probably tackle that later in the year in a more in-depth webinar. But you can see that this framework with assets, hypothesis and experiments, team tasks and activities, deliverables, user behaviors, and also business results is a key way of looking at not only just AI and the impact of AI, but essentially business agility in whole. So, it's an exciting framework. It provides a backbone to our book, and it's something that we'll be talking a little bit more at a later stage about. If we could move on to the next slide. Yeah, thanks, Susan. What we see now is that skills are going to need to change. Now, I'm not going to be an alarmist here. You're not going to lose your job to AI, but you might lose your job to somebody who knows AI better than you do. So this is where there is a need, and Angela and I see this incredible push that we need to elevate our skills. And those skills are, we see as being core skills within business analysis. So being the key skills that we see in the future is that continuous learning. Continuous learning is going to be so critical. It's about reskilling, understanding new things, always adapting, learning, having learner-driven learning is something that is really, really key. And I see that it's going to be key not only now, but it's going to be so much needed in the future. We also see that ethics is going to play a really important part of AI. It's already playing a part within organizations. Ethical behavior is something that can, or unethical behavior is something that can destroy organizations very quickly. And we've seen that happen within the marketplace over time, over and over again. So as a business analyst professional, we need to actually understand ethical decision making, and we need to work with stakeholders to understand what are some of the key ethical inputs into AI. Problem solving is another one that we see as being a huge need to upskill and advance into the future. The rapid pace of information is only gathering speed. So being able to problem solve and remain on top of all of this information that's coming to us is going to be a key critical skill of the future. And then critical thinking. So being able to critically think about some aspects of business analysis and how that's impacting organizations is again, a skill that needs to be honed. Now, a lot of these skills we already have as business analysis professionals. However, the future and the pace at which we're going to be moving is going to really escalate how these skills, and we need to make sure that we're leveling up. Our book really concentrates on that aspect. Both myself and Angela come from a competency and training background. And so we've heavily looked at how these competencies are going to be needed and what we need to actually do to make sure that we level up to be at the right step to meet the future. So just I think now we're gonna dive into a poll. So over to you, Tiffany and Susan.
Great. We got the first poll question up right now, and we're seeing lots of answers flowing in already.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
how prepared?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
How prepared do you feel your organization is in adapting BA practices to handle this increasing complexity and change with emerging technologies like AI? You can answer this for yourself as well, for you or your organization.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to start talking about this theme of elevating our practices while the poll is finishing and tabulating. What Tim and I see, and we wrote about a lot in the book, is about how business analysis needs to elevate a lot to handle this influx of complexity and AI. And so when you think about the basics about AI and thinking about how AI can do a lot of, or generative AI can write documentation for you, can do a lot of basic analysis, even some complex analysis. There's a lot that AI can do. And once we leverage that, what's left is a much higher level of business analysis. And let's look at the results. So we've got 6% saying very prepared, a lot of people saying somewhat and not very prepared, some neutral and some not at all. Well, all over the board, very interesting. And I'd love if you guys can share in the chat how you are preparing, especially those that said very and somewhat. Curious how you are preparing to help those that need to move the bucket on that one. So, with that, let me talk a little bit about what we mean by elevating the BA practice. Elevating the BA practice is moving it up a few levels. And we mean out of the technical and systems level, where a lot of people today work at, and more into the user scenarios and strategy level. Now, business analysis has always been at that user and user scenario level. The challenge has been that many BAs somehow neglect that and go into the technical layers. Now we're going to say, hey, that user stuff, that's the base. The base for sure. And the technical stuff isn't going to help you very much because AI will be able to do a lot for you. What you really need to be doing is linking the user and user scenarios up to the strategy level and connecting what your organization is trying to do with the user behaviors. And what Tim was talking about with our framework with metrics and connecting user behaviors to metrics to strategy. And so our framework goes into that, but what it does is it lifts up big time what our role is. We have to be able to work at a higher level, work at a more strategic level, and facilitate decision making and problem solving much faster and in a much more robust way. The idea that we crank out system specs is not going to be around much. And I don't want anyone to think that means they don't have a business analysis job. What we're saying is you still do business analysis, but at a higher level of all of these basic skills of being a business analyst. So anything to add to that, Tim?
Yeah, so look, I would, and I know, Angela, you feel the same way, is that business analysis is business analysis. Business analysis is about helping solve problems and take advantages of opportunities for organizations. And so really business analysis has always been done at the strategic level. It's just how well has it been done? And we're calling out to say to business analysis professionals that this is the space that we need to be in to help organizations to be very effective as BA professionals. We need to be making sure that we're connecting strategy through to delivery. And working just in the delivery space is not going to cut it anymore. We need to be in the strategic space, and we need to be looking at things that the BAs are really good at doing. BAs are really good at asking why. And then not just asking why are you doing it, but how are we going to measure it as well? If we can connect these two, then organizations are going to be a lot more successful through really good business analysis.
Absolutely.
So I think we've got another poll to come through, so we might jump on to that one now.
We will, and I'll launch that poll. And we did get some great comments, so thank you for that, everyone. We'll probably revisit those time permitting. But let me get the next. Let me just launch the next poll here for us here. Sorry
So
about
this
that.
one's just around, sorry, Tiffany?
We got it. Sorry, there was a little delay on my side.
Yeah, cool. No worries. It
Okay.
must have been just transferring between the US and Australia
True.
because we were a little bit of distance.
We have a lot of
So
distance, yeah.
yeah. So here we go. Well, what is the current focus of your organization business analysis competency development to leverage AI for increased productivity and efficiency? So the options are training programs, hire specialized talent, adopting new tools and technologies, no specific focus, or other. So it's great that people are putting things into the chat. It's always great to hear what people are doing all around the world. I'm always interested in this.
Seeing a lot of answers flow in, and I'll give it another second or so, and then I'll close it and we'll share these results. All right, here we go.
Okay, so we had 10% training programs, 3% hiring specialized talent, 40% adopting new tools and technologies, 45% no specific focus, and 2% other. I guess what I really like about this is that, hiring people, specialized talent is probably low down there, which is really good. I'm surprised the training programs aren't enough, and maybe that's people interpreting training programs, because traditionally, training programs are always, buy this stuff in. I think things with continuous learning are changing. So I think our broadening of what a training program needs to change in the future. Adapting new tools and technologies, 40%. I'm not surprised at that result there as well. So thanks everyone for polling in that. And I guess what comes out of that is that we do have new tools. And one of the things that Angela and I have really concentrated on within our book is competency. Is making sure that we've got really good competency and that we've developed competency to help meet the AI wave that's coming. There's always going to be a flood of new tools. I think between Angela and I, we send each other a new AI tool every week. And it's a flood. It's a plethora of tools that are out there. But it's true competency, I think, which really helps you develop and take advantage of a tool. If you're developing really good competency and fundamental to usage of AI is business analysis, is understanding why we're using this tool. How are we going to leverage that tool to best help the organization, and not just to help with the efficiency of an organization, but how do we actually leverage it to get business results? Remembering that's really core to any organization, is getting some sort of measurable result. How do we actually leverage a tool to actually get that result? Andrew, have you got any comments to add?
Just echoing the same thing, right? And I'm kind of watching the chat in the webinar and questions about like, well, what's the timing and what competencies and stuff. And I guess my reaction to some of that is, if you haven't started yet, you're behind, and it never stops. The technology and the capabilities are ever changing. So for example, just about any AI tool that I use on a regular basis, if I put the same input in, I'm getting different answers. Some of that is the dynamicness of the tools, and some of it is those tools are improving so fast that it's not a static thing to learn. And so just continuing to learn about it. And I don't mean technically, right? It's learning about what it's capable of to elevate our competency overall and elevate our business analysis competency so that we can continue to do business analysis augmented by AI. It's very, very evident to me that a trained business analyst can use AI far more effectively for business analysis than an untrained BA. And that's very evident because in anything, right? If I know how to prompt better, it's not necessarily about prompting, that's a skill, but you layer onto it knowledge and experience in something, and your prompting naturally gets better. And then we talk about just the different AI capabilities that are going to be happening, visible and invisible to the user. We have to know and understand these capabilities for the future. And again, they keep changing. And I mean, not changing like the rugs pulled out from under us, but they keep adding to the complexity of the understanding of AI, which means, again, if we haven't started yet, we're behind. And if we're learning and we think we're right on top of it, if you let off for a couple weeks, you're probably behind, right? So, so yeah, that's yeah, I mean, developing business analysis competency, again, it's I also want to put people's minds to think about, how do I use the competencies I have today, but at a higher, more strategic level? So if you today create state diagrams at a technical level, think about, how would you use AI to augment the creation of your state diagrams? And then how would you create a state diagram at a more strategic level? That's what we're thinking about when we're talking about elevating competency. And then how would you work differently with stakeholders on their solution ideas using a state diagram, again, at a higher user and strategy level versus a technical level? And you can insert any BA skill or technique to that. Rebecca is asking us if we used AI when authoring the book. Well, I think the answer to that is that the publisher at IIBA, the guy who leads publishing, told us we pretty much had the best original writing score he'd ever seen on a book, even before AI, right? And so,
So yeah, we didn't use AI for writing the book, but that enabled us to do some of our presentations as well. So some of the really neat stuff that we've done is throughout the book, because Angela and I are so interested in AI and the impact to business analysis. We actually created some video with using some of our vignettes that are throughout the book. Some awesome things are coming over the wall with how you generate some of these videos, and one of the things that we will encourage everybody to do is try some of this thing, some of the tools. But whatever you do, don't focus just on the tool. Focus in on our business analysis skill, because that will give meaning for how we use the tool, rather than just jumping and looking at the shiny, bright tool that we can see.
Yeah, Tim, there's a question I want to address here that came in that says, what does a more strategic level mean? So I know I keep using that phrase, and I believe you have as well. So it's really about a more strategic level. If I were to think of business analysis in three planes, I would think technical plane, user scenarios and user actions, and then strategic. And currently, most BAs operate in the technical plane and barely touch the user plane. And I would say that's something we should be improving on before AI. We should be more into the user and strategic plane of things. And with AI, we're going to have to leave the technical level behind in a lot of ways and focus user and strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it's about, the connection between low level project type of work. So, if we're looking at right down into the delivery side of things, going into deliveries, there should be a phase of, are we working on the right delivery, right? So are we working on the right initiatives? And the very start of that is, do we have a strategy? And are we moving from a strategy into understanding what are all of the initiatives? And therefore, now when we're working in the initiatives, are we actually working on all the right things to produce the strategy? So to me, business analysis happens right across the depth of all of those things. Traditionally, I think BAs have been pushed into just project business analysis, and that's wrong. It's a matter of, is the project really the right thing to be working on? And I remember working with an organization that they had 30 different initiatives. We looked at their strategic plan, and all of those 30 initiatives weren't doing anything to move the strategy from the current state to the future state. And the highest priority of the organization was not being addressed through all of the initiatives. So just by rejigging the initiatives that they were working on to align to the strategy meant the organization was actually covering more. So that's what we mean by we've got to be up. Are we working on the right things? And are we measuring the results of those right things as well for an organization? So we're not doing incredibly different work, but it's the focus there. And I think every BA gets pretty frustrated with this, is when you don't understand why we're doing something, it's pretty boring, and we get pretty frustrated with it as well. So asking that question of why, it's pretty important, I think.
Awesome. Let's go to next slide. There we go. All right. Our poll for this slide. Which aspect of business analysis do you believe will benefit most from integrating our AI analysis accelerator framework? Oh, sorry. This isn't about our framework specifically. The question's about AI frameworks in general. Okay. All right. So to dive a little bit in, while everyone's finishing up answering that, to dive a little bit more into our analysis accelerator framework that much of the book is about, I want to talk about a couple of themes that really good business analysis is and will be even more in the future. And that is continuous analysis is the first thing. And then our framework, starting with assets. Now think about assets like your visual models, your different architecture assets, any of your business analysis assets, but think of them as living, continuously updated, continuously analyzed artifacts. They're not project-based where they're locked down or approved or signed off. They're continuously used to collaborate. So in an AI-driven world, we're going to have to do a lot more continuous analysis, not phased analysis. And we talk a lot about that in the book. We also talk a lot about how AI will enable monitoring of our business and user processes. And so we can be much more proactive and evidence-based about the recommendations we come up with. So instead of working a backlog of requests that are reactive of ideas that are months or years old, we can proactively use AI and data analytics to recommend solutions to our stakeholders, and the AI can help us recommend solutions. So the framework really helps us think about using AI as a BA at a way completely elevated level than many are doing today. Okay, and here is our poll results. Data collection and analysis coming up as the winner. Predictive modeling, process automation coming in close behind. So exactly, it's going to be all about leveraging AI, not just for productivity, but for decision making, for inputs to elicitation and analysis. And I imagine quite a role already here and in the future of business analysts setting up these ecosystems of data monitoring. And so what that means is we are going to be on projects where we are setting up what are the critical measurements of each user process. What are the critical measurements of the business process? How do we want to measure, predict, and prescribe what's happening so that we can be proactive about changes instead of reactive? And so our AI analysis framework helps us think about the mindset and the thinking tools needed to set all of us up as BAs of today and the future. Tim?
Yeah, look, I think, things are going to change. It's incredible how AI is moving. I recently saw an article talking about that ERPs are dead, that no longer monolithic, huge software systems are going to be needed to be implemented, that we are going to move to more discrete pieces of software that are cobbled together, and AI is really giving us that advantage. So as business analysts, it's not something new that we're going to need to be doing. We need to be just changing some of our focus. Concentrate on the core BA skills. If you're new to the profession and new to IIBA, it's really important that you really focus in on the core skills of business analysis, and then just simply just understand a little bit of AI as well to supplement what you're doing in terms of your core BA skills. Now, I think we've got another poll to move on to. We've got some great things coming in on the chat. Keep that coming in, everyone. You know, like it's awesome what I'm seeing coming through. People are really talking about this, and we're actually seeing people answer some of the questions in the chat too. So if you're seasoned BA professional, then please just answer some of the questions there as well. Our community of IIBA really can help each other. So we've got to look another question in here. This is number 4. How effective does your organization currently use customer behavior metrics to drive improvements in value streams and customer journeys? All right, this is a great question. I love this one. I mean, I could even see a supplementary question, which is, do you even use value streams and customer journeys within your organization? So the choices are very effectively, neutral, ineffectively, not at all. So do that poll, and sure Tiffany will do her magic in the background.
I will. I'm going to give it another moment. I see some responses still flowing in, and I will share those results.
Tiffany does this manually, which is just unbelievable. I just can't believe your math skill.
Mathematician on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Here comes the magic.
Well done. Okay, so we've got very efficiently 8%, very effectively 8%, effectively 23%, neutral, ineffectively 22%, and not at all 7%. So yeah, look, a real spread there as well. So that's awesome to see that. And what I'd love to do is to understand those people that are really doing that effectively. Then it'd be awesome to get some of that information coming into our community, because I don't think that number's very big. And where we need to go as a profession is we need to replicate some of that really good work. We need to make that a template for others to follow as well. It's one of my pet hates is that people talk about projects failing and failure of projects, and I always love to try to understand where is it being successful? Where are projects being successful? Because then we're more likely to replicate these things. So look, following on from that poll, I think customer behavior metrics are really, really important. It's about understanding the why. What are we doing today that's going to affect user behavior changes? And those user behavior changes are then going to have some knock-on results, some impacts into the organization. And Andrew and I have talked a lot in the book around about value streams and customer journeys. So really understanding how products and services are delivered by an organization, how are they delivered, and what is the flow, what is the pathway through the organization. Value streams and customer journeys allow us to connect right across the delivery of products and services to a customer. Often organizations are they're stovepiped into business units, and we don't really get the flow that the customer will have the journey through the organization. So we see that that's really, really important within an organization, and linking that back to the leveling up, we see that that's a really important part. So if you're working on very technical things now, down into technical specifications, then what we would encourage you to do is look at the value streams and some of the customer journeys, because they're going to help you with that more strategic business analysis. Angela, what do you have you
I
got
just
any
keep thinking
comments
about
about?
all the thing that hits home for me on this is all of the things I encounter in my personal life with organizations pushing AI in, and it's giving me a worse customer experience. And some are giving a better customer experience. But what this hits home is BAs, you are the role to help ensure that it's a better customer experience. When I encounter organizations trying to use AI, and as a customer, it worsens my interaction, my experience, I just think, oh, okay, this organization's lacking some business analysis. Because they're not taking that customer-centric lens that everything a customer is doing and every possible pathway and scenario a customer can take, and what is it better or worse? And we are the voice of that as BAs, and we should be. And that's where our analysis has to start, with a root from a customer-centric approach.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's the customer is everything. I constantly say that within our organization, that if we don't have customers, we don't have a business. So
Yeah, and we can, connect that, Tim, right? We talk about connecting it to the strategy, because I hear the feedback from people when I say that sometimes, saying, well, you can't just do everything for the customer and then neglect the business results. And that's not what we're
yeah,
saying by customer centric. We're saying you, the BA, are the one connecting it.
absolutely.
And
And
that's what our
because
framework talks about, is how do you
yeah,
connect the customer to the strategy and then link that back to what the team is doing technically.
in our book, we talked about, customer obsession. You've got to be customer obsessed. But the real key thing, and I think people get this wrong, is customer obsession doesn't mean that you just do everything every customer wants you to do,
Right.
because it's impossible. It's
Right.
impossible for large organizations to do everything for a customer. Easy when you're a local hairdresser or a local coffee shop, you can have, make changes for a customer on the flip of a dime. But
Yeah.
large organizations, it's impossible. So customer user behavior metrics are really important. And what we say about customer behavior metrics is you've got to follow the main ones. You've got to follow what's really good for the organization to get business results. Because if you're not getting business results, you may not be a business anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and to put an example to all this, it's really about, okay, you've got this idea. Let's say someone wants to implement this AI technology, just like it's always been. Everyone comes to us with the technical idea. And as a BA, we have to step back and say, okay,
Why?
well, why, and who is this impacting, and how is it impacting each of these user groups? And that's what we mean by customer centric, is no matter what the technology, no matter how detailed of a technical change or how big of one, our role is to first say, who is this impacting and how? And then what are we trying to get from this? What's the why behind it? And carry that line of thinking through the project, bridging leadership and technical resources, thinking about who and the impact, and carrying those scenarios through. And we do that in structured analysis ways with our BA skills.
Absolutely. And look, I just wanted to answer a question that's come into the chat, because it's really relevant about this component that we're talking about. And it's from Lisa, and she says, do you really think C executives are going to accept analysis when selecting company projects? Well, it's a great question, Lisa. they're going to have to, right? There's no other way. If you're going to be competitive, then you have to do better selection of what you're working on. If you're not applying this to customer behavior metrics and to get business results, if there's no traceability between the why and what you're delivering, then you're most likely that organization is not going to exist in 10 years' time. So my suggestion to you is always look for a company that is going to look at this stuff, because they will innovate, they will have business agility, and they'll be competitive in the marketplace.
Yeah, and I'll add on, will they ask a business analyst to be that person to look at it? I'm going to throw it right back at the hundreds of you on the line. They will if you show and step into that role. If you keep working at a technical level with tasks and technical things, and that's all you're doing is writing up technical things and tasks, you will never get asked. So it's I think one of the things we're passionate about, and Tim and I talk about all the time, and one of the purposes of this book is to help inspire and empower the millions of BAs around the world to step into this new role. Because if you don't, someone else will.
Well,
it's not like we're saying that C-level is just going to go, oh, poof, it's a BA. Let's ask the BAs to do it. We have to step into that role. And we believe that we are the role to step into it. We are skilled. We have relationships. We see the multiple layers, tech, user, strategy. And we have a set of techniques in our profession to do this better than anyone else if we're willing to step in.
Yeah, it's a great point, Angela. I mean, I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and they were saying, why don't some senior executives get this? Why is it that we see it and senior executives don't see it? And I, posed that question back to them, and I said, well, what are your competencies? Why can you see the pathway, the clear pathway, and the decision making really easily? Well, it's because you've got the competency to be able to distill down the problem or the opportunity in a way that becomes obvious. Now, senior managers don't automatically have that skill. They haven't been trained in business analysis. So often we're in situations where, we think that the senior manager should have those competencies and skills, but the reality is they don't. So it's our job to help them, to get them to see how business analysis can really help with this decision-making process to enable the strategy to be delivered really, really easily.
Yeah. Let's get to our last poll question and then questions from the audience. Okay, next poll.
Right, just been launched.
Which competency do you think is most critical for future-proofing business analysis within your organization? Ooh, tough one. And what this gets to is essential skills for future-proofing. Simplifying what competencies are needed, but also digging in and realizing we have this great base, better than a lot of other roles, to step into this future. But that doesn't mean we can be stagnant. We've got to keep flexing our muscles and learning new skills, current skills and new skills, and elevating everything. Let's see what the results of this poll are. This will be interesting. I know when I saw this one, I was like, I don't know how to choose.
We should have added all of the above.
I know. Then we that's why
would have been the
slower
easy
right
one,
now.
It
Everyone's like decision fatigue, indecisive. I can't do it. No.
All right. I'm going to end it. I think most of our people online have voted. So let me share these results.
Excelente. Ooh, strategic thinking came up at the top. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll add to that and mix in that I think strategic thinking combined with any of the others is where it's going to be at. So we can't use advanced data analysis as a BA without strategically thinking about it. And likewise, these other things, it's really kind of a combination of the skills, right? Just like we've always known as a BA, even our analytical skills and visual modeling, for example, you can't just do visual modeling without your influence and collaboration skills, right? There's just always these higher levels to get up to with that. So
And
definitely the theme in our book is elevating your current skills to step into this new future and then learning the new skills as well. So yeah, it's we mentioned, Tim, you mentioned at the beginning, problem solving, decision making, ethics, um, and
continuous learning,
continuous learning, continuous analysis. It's just all about connecting all these skills together and elevating everything up a level. And up a
and
level because we're going to be working at a higher level of abstraction. We're going to be working with much more than today, meaning at a much faster pace. So what I mean by that is because of AI's automations, we're going to be able to do more projects and more work as an organization. So we're going to be expected as business analysts to facilitate more of it's happening faster. I mean, imagine if code happens and testing happens 40 to 80% faster than today, or even 30 times faster than today on another scale. That means we have to facilitate a lot more decision making at higher levels and much faster. I mean, if we think it's hard to get decisions made today, what skills do you need to step into a future where you have to get them made faster? And let me tell you, we cannot step back and say, well, I'm waiting on a decision.
hmm,
That's not going to work. It's our job to figure out with our stakeholders which decision needs to be made when and what information don't they have that's slowing that decision down. How can I get that information? How can I present that? How can I get things out of the way for decisions to be made fast and projects to be implemented fast and to learn and get that learning velocity and decision velocity higher? So, yeah. Well, should we, Tiffany, Susan, Tim, should we go to how to get the book and Q&A kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's our next topic. So I will we can move the slide forward, and I'll also drop in chat a link where everyone can access the book. And I'll pass it back over to Susan.
I'm gonna I think I'll show a couple things too. I've got my book here. Some of the things I think if you're looking at stuff, we've got color pictures and exhibits and examples that we've got in the book, which are kind of fun. More color diagrams to show you how to implement some of these things in the framework. So it's a color book, which is kind of cool and not always seen.
So I mean it's a real testament to the team, the publishing team. So to Paul
yeah.
Stapleton, to Scott, to Jamie, because everything that's in here is really good. And the graphics are really good, which I think good graphics always kind of make everything a little bit better, a little clearer. So you can zap the QR code. It'll take you over to the bookstore if you'd like to get your copy. Um, and you won't, you will find something in here that you can apply today. I mean, frankly, some of this stuff you can start applying even if you're not even considering AI at the moment, because I think it is just like really good business analysis. I think it helps you to think through what that is. And so, of course, they're asking you about the t-shirts.
I know they were quite popular in we were in Orlando when we first debuted them, and everyone's like, "Where do I get one?"
Yeah.
You know. Oh.
So, if you have
We-
a question, you can put that into the Q&A box. If you have a question, if you see a question, you have the same question, you can give it an upvote, and I'll take those in that order. I cut you off, Angela. My apologies.
Oh, I was just gonna say the t-shirts were a one-time special order. We don't have an answer as to where to get them.
Yeah.
We just designed them on a custom t-shirt order webpage and sent them to ourselves.
Yeah.
We didn't know how cool. Well, we kind of had a hunch they'd be cool, but we didn't know anyone else would think they're cool.
So maybe check eBay, see if someone has got like some hot,
Uh,
hot version. They're selling it for 4 times the cost. Alrighty, so let's take this first question. This is from Toby. Can you suggest any free tools that might be helpful for BAs? And I'm assuming this would
Well,
be like some
I'm gonna
AI
be a
tools.
BA for a minute
Okay.
for which user and to do what action.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are
right.
thousands, literally. So if you've got a use case in mind, if you can say, well, I want to do this with AI, I think we can better answer that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Toby, we're gonna move on, but if you want to give us a little more context for that question, just drop that into the chat and we will come back. All right, Michelle has our next question. As someone who is just starting with AI as a BSA, where do we go from here? How do we convince management to invest in it?
Well,
So go, Angela, if you.
as I say, your management already is, or maybe we don't know which layer of management. If your company isn't looking at AI, they won't be around very long. No, they're already looking into it. There's no doubt. So I think it's really about which management and for what usage, because AI can be used literally for so many things. It's all about, again, well, I'm going to be the BA. What are you looking to use AI for and to convince them for? What's your usage for it that you want to use and invest in? I don't know, Tim, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so look, the first thing I'd be doing is what is existing problems or what are the opportunities sitting within the business, right? If you can solve something through a useful tool, whether it's AI or whether it's a bit of custom software, whether it's, you know, whatever, then if you can solve that, then people are going to want that. They're going to not say no to that. They're going to be invested into to making that change within the organization. So think like an entrepreneur. Think, use your business acumen, which is a key competency of business analysis, and look at what is a problem, what is an opportunity within the business. And if you can get a return on investment for that bit of work, then I think you'll get people's the attention. This is the area that I think we haven't, as a profession, we haven't been astute enough with, is that a lot of times I hear BAs saying, "Oh, we're not appreciated, we deserve more, we do such great work," and all of that. But the reality is we're not showing the value of really good business analysis enough. We've got to show the value of it. We've got to be talking to senior managers and showing them. People want to, don't want to hear words. Always say actions speak louder than words. If you are actually doing it and you're starting to show the results of it, then what will happen is that they will naturally go, I want some more of that. What did you call it? What's your title? All of those things are how you are going to present and really sell the value of great business analysis.
So Michelle has offered a little more context, and I think this gives maybe some more nuance to the question, and maybe it's a slightly different question. So Michelle adds, I don't know if it's me, but I'm not following what the push is for AI. I'm doing well writing requirements and manually testing. I think a little farther up, she says, I don't know about AI since I haven't used it. So if you are a BA and you don't know where to get started with AI, whether or not they're using it in your organization, where might business analysts even start to get acquainted with what's out there?
One thing
Well,
I'll put out here, Susan, is in our book we do have a lot of tables in the book that say before AI, with some AI, with a lot of AI.
Okay.
And so it's not a how-to, but it's that context of like what, piece by piece blending AI into your BA work means. Because there's so many answers to that. And we took apart the BA role and really put it into these table formats about where AI is infiltrating in the role, right? So no AI, AI assisted, fully leverage AI for different tasks that BAs do, and kind of what AI is capable of and how do we frame up this mindset of AI augmented BA?
Yeah.
So it's these
Here you go.
tables in the book that go through that. Yep.
Yeah, and so Michelle, and so for anybody else out there that has a similar question, where would I get started? Maybe having just a little more context of what Angela's talking about. So using some of these tables, if you've got access to this book, would give you an understanding of how AI might make a difference in the work that you do, and that could be a good starting place.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like that answer. Kind of ties in what we were talking about with the good graphics as well. We are technically at the end of our time, but Angela or Tim, do you guys see another question you would like to take before we wrap up? And
Yeah,
if
I've
not,
got jump in with one more was talking a little bit about data, and there was a question around, is that a specialist role? Well, I think one of the things that we focus in on in the book is that we look at uh, everything holistically within the organization. So no piece of data sits within an organization, or no piece of data probably should sit within an organization if it's not connected to the value of the organization, to the products and services, to the value streams within the organization. So data is a big thing. It's been a big push within our profession and within organizations. But data's existed for years and years and years. It's always connected back to value streams. So we're already doing data. Every time that we do a process model, we're actually looking at data classes. So there is a connection between the two. Please don't just get the pretty butterflies that are flying around. Don't get distracted with that. The core to business analysis is always the core.
all right. And maybe on that, we will wrap up for today. Again, Angela and Tim, thank you for your time. This was a great
Thank
conversation.
you.
Yeah, lots of great chat today. So we also want to thank our attendees for taking some time out of their day to come in and hear you guys speak and also be so interactive. So you guys are getting lots of hearts and clapping. So thank you, everybody. Tiffany,
Fantastic.
thank
Thank you.
you. We could not have done this without you today. So
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
You guys have a great day, a great week, and we will see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Susan.
Bye.